Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to be doing my January wrap-up, talking about all of the books that I read in January. And honestly, I feel like January was a pretty good month for me, so I'm excited that I get to read all of these books and get through them, and we'll talk through here. And I'm hoping I can keep up the pace for February, because February, if you saw my TBR video, is a bit of a mess. A lot of stuff on there, so let's get talking on it. So I had ended the year with Men-at-Arms, which was a lot of fun. I decided to start with a shorter book for February to start, or February. I'm already messed up. January to start with. So the first book I read was The King Beyond the Gate by David Gemmell. And I really did enjoy this. I do have a full review, which I will link if you want to hear that whole thing on King Beyond the Gate. But this was just very, very enjoyable. It did it for the first half. It seemed to hit a lot of the same beats as Legend, with defending against a much superior force. This takes place around 100 years later, and has different characters, but is kind of, related. Like, the events of Legend are relevant here. But the second half of this did a lot of really great things. And it felt like it kind of took some of the tropes that were in Legend, and then changed them to subvert them to make them a little bit better, and just did a lot of stuff. And I really enjoyed it, so I'm really excited to read more Gemmell this month now, since this is coming out in February. Then we had City of Blood by Daniel Barnett, book 5 in the Nightmareland Chronicles. And I read this, which I was going to read it anyway, but I read this as a part of the buddy read that's been going on. So there is a live show where we talked about City of Blood, and I'll link that down below. That's on Steve's channel. I have been enjoying the heck out of these books so far. I am like halfway through Lily right now too, which is book 6. I have been loving these so much. But this book 5 in Nightmareland, which chronicles a man who is on a quest to find his daughter in a world that's gone dark. It's kind of the early summary, but there's so much more to these. Really, really great series. I definitely recommend you checking out. I do have a review of the first book that's out, and then otherwise, like I said, if you've read it, feel free to check out the live show. And then next, we had Dragonhaven by Robin Hobb. This is the second book in the Rainwild Chronicles, and much like the first, I did not really care for this book a whole heck of a lot. I'm not going to be doing reviews because it's a middle book. I might do a video about the Rainwild Chronicles in general once I'm done with them. It's not been a great experience. I'm hoping books 3 and 4 improve. I've heard that they do, but this just kind of basically was part 2 of the first book. I think that's part of the problem. These were originally supposed to be a duology, and it was split by the publisher's demand into 4. This was really part 2, so there were some things that happened, but it still just was not really a story I particularly cared about. So another disappointment. Still a well-written book, just not really something that I enjoyed. But like I said, I'm really hoping books 3 and 4 will pull together. And if nothing else, I know I'm going to love the last trilogy when we get back to Fitz, so I'm still looking forward to that. Of course, then, we had the official Wizardly Duo buddy read, starting with The Ninth Reign, the Winnowing Flame trilogy. This was the one for January. We're doing book 2 in February, book 3 in March. And so read The Ninth Reign. This one I do also have a review for. I will link. I was kind of mixed. I didn't get super into it. I'm not super sold after the first book. It did some things I didn't care for. And I felt like this really was a setup book, so I'm definitely not like writing off the series, definitely continuing with the buddy read. I'm hoping that book 2 will draw me in. This just was a ton of world building. The world building was interesting, but there hasn't really been enough to get me like invested in the story yet, but I'm hoping to see more. Once again, you can check out, I'll link the review for this one if you do want to hear more about it, but we will be continuing reading books 2 and 3 over February and March, so definitely exciting there. I then did also read Evershore, which was the last novella in the Skyward Flight novellas that were being released around book 3 Cytonic. And so these were, they were a little different because there were the, was it 2 or 3? I don't know. There were the other novellas that were done prior to release. This one actually takes place mostly after Cytonic, somewhat, I think, technically during, but mostly after. And so kind of pushed the story. And This one I thought was interesting because it seems like it's setting up what's going to happen in the fourth and final book. And I believe I saw that Sanderson stated the fourth book is going to be multi-POV, whereas both the novellas and the normal books were single POV, and it was first-person narrative, basically. So I think it'll be interesting seeing multiple narratives, because I found myself enjoying the novellas a little bit more than I did the third book. The third book wasn't bad, but I just kind of I was ready to know what else was going on besides just with Spencer, so I feel like these were done really well. It'll be interesting to see if there's more of them for the fourth book, but I am interested to read the fourth book because I think with everything that's being set up, it could definitely be set up for a really good finish. And even though these are YA and it's not something I normally read, I enjoy Sanderson's style enough. I've still enjoyed the books overall. So this one was definitely interesting. And then we get into the next bit here. And so the next thing I read on my Kindle was Age of Ash by Daniel Abraham. And this was an e-arc that I had gotten through NetGalley. I will be having a review coming out on the Friday after this, so 2 days after this comes out, which I was waiting till closer to the release date. That's usually what I like to do with e-arcs, just so that it's kind of closer to right when it's going to be coming out. I really, really enjoyed the book. I was expecting to, because I've been loving the Long Price Quartet so far. I read this before I read book 3 of the Long Price Quartet, which we'll be getting to here in a moment. But I read this before I read that, and so I was still enjoying the first two enough. And this was a very different feel. It was definitely Abraham. It was definitely slower, focusing on bigger themes, and really having hints as to what's going to come. So watch out for the review if you're interested in that. It's a book I definitely recommend checking out, and I'm really excited to see where the series will go. I think this one's going to have 4 books, 3 or 4 books. Might have been a trilogy, I don't remember. But really a different premise, using some familiar things, but hitting from a different way. So really interesting there. Watch out for the review coming here soon. So next, I started Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. And this big boy I actually read on my Kindle because if you're around Discord, you probably know this is held together very poorly on the spine. It's just by like a couple of pieces of paper, and it looks like if you actually read it, it will come apart very easily. So really, I still have this for display purposes. It is a beautiful book, and I mean, like, I'm not happy about the quality of the spine binding, but when you have like this naked hardcover and just like this beautiful book plus the dust jacket, like, even as a display piece, beautiful, beautiful book. But I read the first half of this, and then I took a break to read something else, but I'm just going to talk about it now. Dragon Mage, which I'll also be, I still have to film a review for this, I haven't yet. This book, though, I really enjoyed, and it was really something that I felt was very unique. If you're not familiar with it, the main character, Aram, is on the spectrum and seems to exhibit a lot of behaviors and things that are associated with autism. And so it really took a lot of a very classic fantasy story, and it used some normal tropes you'd see in fantasy stories, but everything was through a different lens because of the main character, and so it just made a very classic kind of story seem extremely fresh and different. And so while there were some flaws here that I'll talk more about when I do my long-form review, this was a really good book. I was not surprised that I really enjoyed it because Andrew had raved about it, and usually we tend to agree. But I really did enjoy this, so I'm looking forward to getting a full review for that one done as well. So I've already mentioned it, but the next thing was book 3 in the Long Price Quartet, and Autumn War. I was waiting until after we did our live show, and then I wanted to read it right away. This was so good. Long Price Quartet is one of those things I feel like most people hadn't heard of, and then Alan kind of popularized it, and a lot more people have read it now, so that's really awesome. But book 3, for me, was like by far my favorite. It really upped the level of everything. It tied together so many things from the first 2 books, down from like the prologue of the first book even. Everything was pulled together really wonderfully. There was a lot more action, a lot more was happening. And with the way that this book happened, I'm so excited. I just have no idea what the heck Abraham is going to do with the 4th book, but I am here for it. I cannot wait to read the 4th book, The Price of Spring. This has definitely been a series that has just blown me away with how good it's been so far. So I've been really, really impressed. And then because I was reminded late in the month that apparently I had agreed to buddy read Bloodsong with some people by Anthony Ryan. I started Bloodsong. So I am like a little over halfway through Bloodsong at this point, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It actually, at like the halfway point, it seemed like it was going to really pick up, and I liked the first half of the book, but it seems like it's really going to start gearing up to be even better. So I really enjoyed this so far. I am excited to finish it. I knew there was probably no way I was going to finish it by the actual end of January, and so I got to the halfway point on the halfway point on the day of the 31st, and then I put it down to read Lily by Daniel Barnett, because we got a live show coming up for that one too. So I will be finishing the second half of this hopefully here soon, but it'll definitely be in February. This one too, I do plan to do a review of once I get through it, but really enjoying it so far. I just had too much stuff going on. And that's why my February TBR, I feel like, is in trouble, because I'm going to be finishing this and then trying to get through all of my February books as well. So February is going to be a busy month. I do not know if I will get through everything, but I'm definitely going to try. So those are the books that I read in January. Hopefully the page count makes me look better, because I know I was talking to Andrew and then Jake the Bookish Drummer, and they both read way more than I did in January. It made me feel very inadequate, but no. But it's I got through a fair amount. I'm going to try and keep my pace up. I was definitely a lot faster in the second half of the month than I was the first half. I still kind of was, I had taken Men at Arms super slow to end out the year on just a nice relaxed note, and it took me a while to get back up into reading quickly again, because I was still kind of in that state, but I'm hoping to get there and hopefully be good. But those are all the books that I read in January. Once again, I will link any full reviews, live shows, and anything I have for the books that I have talked about. I will link those down in the description, as well as channels that I mentioned. So check out any of those if you are interested. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, and check the link in the description for the Wizardly Duo Discord. I mentioned it a few times, but always a lot of fun there. We've got the buddy read I mentioned still going on for Winnowing Flame. We are starting the Wheel of Time, the Great Wheel of Time buddy read here in February as well. So a lot going on there. Even if you're not in those buddy reads, still a lot of fun, and we would love to have you, so definitely check it out. And of course, if you enjoy my channel, make sure to subscribe.